Good morning. Good morning. Welcome in to Southeastern 14's SEC Morning Report. I am Blayne Gilmer, and it is time once again to be talking SEC football here. We have a packed week of action with some big non-conference games taking place. You got a couple on the road in Ole Miss going down to Tulane. And then, of course, we have previewed as well Texas A&M going on the road to Miami, and also Texas coming to Alabama. So a big home game there for the Tide at Bryant-Denny Stadium. So very, very excited to see how this one turns out this week and all the game action. We've got previews, predictions, betting tips, everything you could want here on the channel. So look through those videos as well. But this morning, we continue on the morning report as we do each and every day to bring you some news, some updates, and why certain things are important going forward to a couple of teams here. Tennessee and Auburn both lose their starting Mike linebacker after week one for the foreseeable future. Keenan Pili from BYU, a transfer to Tennessee. He played for a while there in that game against Virginia, had 4 tackles, but comes out of that game and that has a upper body injury. Josh Heupel treating it like it's the NHL and not telling us exactly what it is. Upper body injury. He's going to be out for at least a while, a few weeks, according to Heupel on the teleconference. And, depending on what it is, if it's something like a chest muscle or things like that, we don't know, because every little movement can impact you. But that is going to force Tennessee to kind of dig into its depth a little bit. They have Elijah Herring there that kind of stepped up and played a lot in that Virginia game in his absence there. They also had Aaron Carter, who is a freshman from Smyrna, Tennessee, a guy that a lot of the Tennessee fan base is excited about. So he's going to get an opportunity, it would seem like, during Pili's absence. But also too, Jeremiah Tielander, another freshman, a linebacker. He can play inside or outside from Gainesville, Georgia. He's a guy that could get a look also. So they have some depth and they have some opportunity kind of to work through this, as they have a cupcake this week. They play Florida, which who knows, that may be a cupcake for Tennessee the week after. So we'll see how extended a time Keenan Pili is out, but that is a big loss for the Vols going forward, as he brought a lot of game experience with his time at BYU there and kind of fortified that middle position. I know they were excited about what he was doing before he went down with injury. Also, Austin Keys goes down for Auburn with a thumb injury in the UMass game. I believe he played 18 snaps in that game, had a couple of tackles, but was a guy who, he came from Ole Miss, and they were excited about, like I said, his experience being around in the SEC and what he was contributing there, both on the field and leadership-wise to Auburn. And he can still be a leader while he recovers from thumb surgery. He injured his thumb. He's going to be out for a while. I don't know, that's tricky, because as a linebacker, you're going downhill, you're taking on linemen, and you're trying to shed blocks and things like that. And if you got that thumb injury, depending on how well you can do things, whether they can maybe club it up at some point or things like that to keep you from extending that thumb out and re-injuring that's just going to have to remain to be seen. But that is significant for this week, because Auburn is going on the road to Cal and facing a very, very good running back in Jaden Ott. You say, hey, well, it's Cal, they went 4-8 last year. Justin Wilcox doesn't have a very good team, but what he does have is he has a very good running back. Jaden Ott rushed for almost 900 yards as a freshman last year, and he had 188 yards in the season opener against North Texas. And I know you're saying, hey, it's North Texas, but I'm telling you, you go turn on film and watch Jaden Ott. He is a talented back. He's a guy who those legs never stop churning, and he's going to fight for every single inch, every yard. And it would help to have a guy like Austin Keys there to, patrol that middle for Auburn. So we're going to have to see, how they're able to go forward with handling that injury. And here's the thing about Hugh Freeze and Josh Heupel and these guys who are trying to restore programs, proud programs. And Josh Heupel's already a long way down the road with this compared to Hugh Freeze at Auburn. But they're trying to restore programs to where they feel they should rightfully be. Part of that is making sure you have the depth that you're able to, sustain injury. When injuries come along, you're able to sustain your level of play because you've got an adequate amount of depth. Larry Nixon is a guy who's also a transfer senior, 6'1", 231 pounds, comes from North Texas. So he will step in, and be able to help Auburn there in the middle as well. Eugene Asante is a guy who's a senior, former transfer into Auburn as well. Wesley Steiner, a senior. So they do have guys who have been around for a while. Cam Riley may could switch over and play the middle. So they have guys and options over there. But Tennessee and Auburn both losing Mike linebackers after week one. Not an insignificant development. Both of those will have to really try to figure out, okay, what's the best fit and who's going to be most productive in the middle of that defense. Also, injury news on Arkansas's front. Rocket Sanders will not play against Kent State. He has some swelling in his knee. Sam Pittman seems to think that this is not a significant injury, that it's just more of a precautionary type thing. However, this does lead into a piece of news that I had on Kent State, and that is they are god-awful, and they are one of the worst teams in all of college football. After Sean Lewis bolted, the Bolts, after he bolted to Colorado to be Deion Sanders' offensive coordinator, that program was ravaged by the transfer portal this past offseason and is not the same solid MAC program that it was for the last few years. They gave up 723 total yards to UCF in week one, 334 yards passing, I believe. So with Rocket Sanders being out, also 388 something rushing, with Rocket Sanders being out, what I want to see is, of course, the running backs behind him, Rashad Dominion, AJ Green, Dominic Johnson, step up and do their part, because that's one thing that Arkansas is just so deep at is running back. They have tremendous running backs. Of course, they got the experienced offensive line with Bo Limmer, Brady Latham, and guys like that up front. But the challenge I want to lay down to Arkansas is, let's see a little bit more separation from defensive backs, from receivers this week. They made a lot of really good contested catches, but we need to see Isaac Tesla, and we need to see Tyrone Broden, and we need to see Andrew Armstrong, Isaiah Sategna, Jaden Wilson. We need to see all those guys. I want to see them running wide booty open down the field. I'm talking 5-10 yards of separation, because Kent State secondary last week was like the equivalent of Weekend at Bernie's out there. They're just propped up, and UCF was having their way. KJ had a great game through the air last week against Western Carolina, but there was a lot of contested catches, a lot of KJ putting it in tight windows. I want to see the Arkansas receivers go out there and make things easy on KJ this week, or even on whatever quarterback's in there, because you should get multiple in this game. And I want to see them running away from defensive backs, because they need to be able to create some separation at key points in times, especially once they get into the SEC schedule. We have a full video on Arkansas that we did a couple of days ago, because I think they can be an SEC West contender, especially now with that I've seen LSU's offensive line, which everybody thought was going to take a tremendous step forward with having so many guys back, particularly Will Campbell and Emory Jones at the tackle positions, just absolutely play like the equivalent of 2-day-old hot dog water against Florida State. And I think you've got a defense for Arkansas that is very, very aggressive with Travis Williams. I like how that 4-man front is coming together and allowing the safeties, how they come up and fit not only the run, but they're aggressive against the pass as well. I think you're seeing just a better fit for Arkansas in that 4-man front and some more man coverage and things like that than you saw in that 3-2-6, 3-3-5 type hybrid defense when Barry Odom was there for the first few years of the Sam Pittman tenure. So challenge to Tesla, Wilson, Armstrong, Broden, Sategna, get some separation, make it easy on KJ. And then the running game, of course, will take care of itself. But that's just a little bit of Arkansas news, is that you are facing maybe the worst team in all the FBS. So play like it. Play like you're going to dominate them and get that done. That would be a really good step for Arkansas as they're kind of tuning up things in this first stretch of their schedule. Speaking of tuning up things, Kirby Smart 2.0 has arrived, folks. And what I'm telling you is Kirby Smart has always had this kind of angst with the media. There's been a lot of, I'm going to be very guarded. I'm going to be very short, almost, Saban-like struggle back and forth with the media of not just being open and seeming comfortable and seeming, ticked off all the time when he's in there in press conferences, giving short answers at times, things like that. But you've started to see a shift in Kirby Smart about who he is, and he's comfortable at the top. There's a big difference between comfortable and complacent. By no means is Kirby Smart complacent, but he is becoming comfortable. And what I mean there is he is able to go into these meetings now, and if somebody asks a question about an injury, he'll just tell them, because he knows that he's got the type of team that if one guy is down or one guy has this going on, he doesn't have to just totally play games. Now, I'm sure there's some guys a key injury, if it was to a quarterback or something along those lines, or maybe the best player on his defense or things like that, he may say, hey, we don't know, we'll see. But he just came out flat the other day and said, hey, we'll tell you if something's going on. He goes, I would be in favor of there being a protocol where we have to give you injury news just like there is in the pros and things like that. All of that is, and people were asking questions about bringing in the injury stuff, because of the trend of players being involved in like gambling things, all this kind of stuff. Kirby wants to be transparent with that stuff, but he's got to see the other, the NCAA or the SEC or however they want to do it, handle it in that way. He's getting more and more comfortable with that kind of information, that kind of talk, more forthright with it. But also, when you talk about Kirby Smart and you talk about Georgia and what they're doing, after having won back-to-back championships, Kirby knows, hey, I have a staff, and he has actually said this, I have a staff that I have been able to retain for a long time. Kirby has been able to retain a lot of those key coaches there on that staff, has a lot of continuity and guys that he trusts, particularly Dell McGee, Glenn Schumann, and Todd Hartley, the tight end coach in Hartley, is co-defensive coordinator and inside linebacker coach, and Glenn Schumann, who's been with him since day one. Dell McGee's been with him since day one, running backs coach, assistant head coach. So they've got a lot of belief in those guys. And Kirby, now in his 8th year at Georgia, is able to delegate more. They said he's able to spend more time with his family, all that kind of stuff. And I think that brings less stress. I think that brings less anxiety, less angst, less, irritability, things like that, when you're getting to enjoy life a little bit more. By no means is Georgia taking their foot off the accelerator, especially in the pursuit of a third straight national championship. But I just think it's clear if you look at the interactions with Kirby Smart and the media, particularly after this whole saga with the AJC and how things have kind of became contentious with the Georgia off-field troubles and things of that nature, it kind of forces you to reevaluate, okay, how am I going to be with the media, particularly when something bad happens. It helps if there's a certain relationship there and things like that you can talk civilly to people and have a certain decorum and a certain rapport with those groups of people. So I just think you're seeing a more comfortable Kirby Smart, even with assessing his own players. He does not care one bit what anybody says about what they thought Carson Beck looked like, his offense looked like, things like that, because he's not worried about what Georgia goes out there and looks like aesthetically versus a UT Martin or versus a Ball State this week. He's worried about a process and worried about getting his team ready for a run that he knows is coming later in the season. You hear guys who are process-oriented talk this way. Saban talks this way. Heck, Deion Sanders was talking this way in his press conference. He's talking about, knowing that there's a run coming at the end and making sure certain players' bodies are prepared and things like that for the end and holding them out for their own good and just being very transparent with the media. I think you're starting to see influences of this all across college football. Heck, even Saban pretty much apologized to a reporter there yesterday in his press conference saying, you know what, you did not ask a bad question about Jalen Milroe on Saturday. I responded poorly. So I think you're seeing a concerted effort with some of these coaches who are having success, particularly Kirby Smart, to, be a little bit different guy when it comes to media interaction, when it comes to transparency, when it comes to delegating to coaches, not being so as uptight, things like that. So I think you're starting to see a little bit of a transformation, if you will, on that. And I think it's going to be something that pays dividends for a Georgia program that already has had a ton of success. And I think it'll continue to, as the team sees, hey, our leader is confident in us. Our leader is saying when we do good things out there, like he was straight up saying, listen, Carson Beck played great. He handled the game great. He did this and that. He tells the media why maybe their perception of something is different than the coach's perception of something. He will also call out players who didn't give great effort or maybe weren't consistent. Michael Morris, a backup guard, he said, hey, he's not playing as well as I think he should play, not as consistently, things of that nature. So that comes when you're a head coach that has complete control of a program and knows that you can send a message to your players and send a message throughout the program about what you say to the media. And I think it's a new 2.0 Kirby Smart, if you will, when it comes to handling things of that nature. Guys, we will have tomorrow Jake's Takes episode 4 coming out. Jake Crane of Crane & Company on the Daily Wire. He is going to be joining me as he does each and every week. We're going to be talking through some key topics for week 3. He's going to give us some keys to that Alabama-Texas game. So very, very excited to be talking about that. If you enjoy this morning report, if you enjoy getting your daily dose of SEC coverage, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, you need to be subscribed to this channel. It's absolutely free. Just hit that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up as well, that like button. It really helps the analytics of everything. We greatly appreciate that. And what I would like you to know is this channel is growing fast, and it's because you guys are consuming the content. We appreciate that. And also tell your friends, if you want daily SEC coverage, this is the place to be. For everybody at Southeastern 14, I am Blayne Gilmer. You can follow me using @BGilmer18, or you can follow Southeastern 14 using @14 Southeastern on X.com, formerly Twitter.com. So get on the app, follow everybody on that. For everybody at Southeastern 14, I am Blayne Gilmer, and we will catch you guys next time to talk more SEC sports here on Southeastern 14.